Welcome to Kintone System Administration Training. For an administrator navigating from home, click the gear wheel next to the search bar and select Users and System Administration. When you first scroll down to the System Administration section, about halfway down the page, you'll see Customize. So let's start there. Select Header. This is where you can change the logo that shows up on the top left of your header bar and also the URL that is linked to the logo. When deciding on a URL, you can choose to link your company's website or maybe a site your employees are often accessing. By default, it will link to Kintone Portal Home. Once you upload your logo or change the URL, click Save. Next, let's select Login Page. Here you can edit what displays on your login page. When you first sign up, the default is a gray background. This feature allows you to add in a fun image that ties into your company. You can also change the welcome text. This text will display above the login box when users log in. Once you upload your file or change your welcome text, click Save. Next, we'll go to Security and start with Login Security Settings. Save login name and password. When checked, this will allow the web browser to save your login name and password. Please note, the web browser settings take precedence over this. This setting will only work for those using specific web browsers. If your users are using Chrome, Firefox, or Safari, they will still be able to save their login name and password in the web browser, even when the setting is disabled here. Automatic login. Select Allow users to skip login step to enable automatic login. In the Remember Me For dropdown, select the period of time for which the system remembers the user's login information, either 1 day, 1 week, or 1 month. Next, we'll review password policy. Self-service change. When checked, this will allow your users to change their own password on the Change Password page in their account settings. Force password change. When checked, this will force the user to reset their password after their first login or after a password change. This just means they will be forced to create their own password instead of keeping the temporary password that was given to them when they initially logged in. Self-service reset. When checked, this will allow users to reset their own password by clicking Forgot Your Password on the login page. If it's unchecked, your users are unable to reset their password on their own. They will need to contact a Kintone administrator to reset their password in their user profile of user administration. By default, your users will be able to reset their own passwords. User password minimum length. Set this to require a certain password length for your users. Administrator password minimum length. Set this to require a certain password length for your Kintone administrators. Password complexity. If you choose none, then there are no requirements. A combination of letters and numbers. This means the password is a mix of letters and numbers, and a combination of letters, numbers, and symbols means the password needs to be a mix of letters, numbers, and symbols. Login name as password. When checked, you are allowing your users to use their login name as their password. When unchecked, they can't use their login name as their password. Password reuse limit. This determines when your users can reuse a password they had prior. You can set this up to 15. That means they can't reuse their first password until their 16th password change. Password expires in. You can force your users to change their password after 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, 180 days, a year, or unlimited, which would mean never. Now we'll review account lockout. Number of failed attempts before account lockout. You can choose the amount of times there is a failed login before the user is completely locked out. You can choose never or between 3 and 10 attempts. Account lockout duration. How long the account will remain locked out. You can choose 3, 15, 30, 60 minutes, or never. Session settings. Here you can set the session lifetime, which determines how long users can stay logged in without any activity without getting logged out. Additional message on login failure. Here you can set a message that will display when a user enters a password incorrectly. And lastly, SAML authentication. When this is checked, this will enable users to set up the SAML authentication. When you're all done changing your settings, you'll click Save. Next, we'll go to Access Control. Here you can configure IP address restrictions to enhance security and also to change your domain name. IP address restrictions let you grant access to Kintone within specific IP address ranges. Once you configure IP address restrictions, access to Kintone is denied if a computer is not in the IP address range that you specified. To configure the settings, choose one of the following options. Allow All will allow anyone access to your Kintone subdomain. For this option, we recommend each user enables two-factor authentication to enhance security. Or you can select Allow Specific IP Addresses. Here you'll enter the IP address information for your office, and all users using that IP address will be able to access Kintone. Those using a different IP address will be denied access. An email is sent to an administrator each time the IP address restrictions are changed. If you're locked out of your account because of the IP address restrictions, you can reset those restrictions from the reset URL written in the email. The reset URL is valid for 1 hour, so if you want to reset after an hour from the configuration, please contact Kintone directly by emailing support@kintone.com or going to kintone.com/support. Under Domain Name, here you can change your domain name, which is the URL for your Kintone account. To update, you'll just type in the new desired domain name here and click Save. If you change the domain name, you need to inform all users of the new domain name, as the old URL will no longer be valid. Next, we'll select Session Settings. Here you can enable and disable clickjack protection. Clickjacking is an attack that makes a user click on a link that takes you to a different site. You think it's one thing, but it's actually just bait to get you to click. When clickjack protection is enabled, no one can create phony links in your domain. This protects you from entering harmful sites and also information leakages. Next, we'll go to Audit Logs and start with View and Download. You'll use this page to view, filter, and download audit logs. The system records all actions made by users in Kintone. You can export audit logs to a CSV file containing up to 100,000 logs. With this top portion, you can filter out the log record that you are trying to find. You can find a detailed list of all audit log details you can monitor in the Kintone Help Center. Next, we'll go to Audit Log Settings. Here you can specify email addresses to receive audit log notifications. There are two levels of logs: Notice and Information. The notice level is higher and more important to note than something at the information level. If you change this to Send Email, you will be instructed to type in one or more email addresses separated by line breaks. If you check the box Send Test Email, you will get a test email sent upon saving. When you're all set, click Save. Next, we'll select Localization. Here you can set the system time zone and language for your domain. You can choose your time zone from this dropdown and your language from here. Our supported languages are Japanese, English, and simplified Chinese. Once you're all set, click Save. Next, we'll select Integrations. Here you can enable integrations with third-party services. If enabled, the services can obtain and use data from Kintone. Currently, you can integrate with Microsoft Flow, Google Hangouts Chat, and Slack. To enable, click here. Then you can set allowed users by clicking Set Allowed Users. Check the box next to the users you would like to allow this service to, and click Save. Down at the bottom, you can add OAuth client to integrate with your environment. It can be used to authenticate applications that lie outside of Kintone to run Kintone API requests. It provides a secure way for your application to access Kintone data, as it does not require users to store their Kintone user and passwords on the application. For more details on setting OAuth 2.0, select this article, How to Add an OAuth Client. And next we'll select Contact Us. This is a super easy way for you to contact Kintone support directly from your subdomain. Just choose the topic of your question, fill out the form, and click Submit when finished. You also have the option to email us directly at support@kintone.com. And this concludes our training for Kintone System Administration. Thank you for watching.